An old friend of Sally's is coming to town. That seems to happen a lot.
Samantha Carrington.
No, I don't remember her.
You know that beautiful, elegant woman from San Francisco.
Are you sure I met her? Her.
John, don't you remember thinking this is the most intellectual, sensual, stimulating?
Oh, that's Samantha Carrington.
She's coming to dinner on Friday, and Sally promised to find her a date. She's not sure who to call, and meanwhile, Jerry is saying, "Hello, I'm right here."
You don't understand. She's a society woman. You wouldn't like her.
High class, huh?
Right.
I see. You guys don't think I'm good enough for her.
It's not that, Chair.
I'm okay at the barbecue, but I don't cut it at the sit-down.
Come on, don't take it so personally.
Well, I can't help it. This is the first time I ever realized you guys are ashamed of me.
In spite of all their protests to the contrary, he's right. They're afraid he'll embarrass himself, or worse, embarrass them.
Oh, Jerry, we're not ashamed of you.
Then how come when the A group shows up, it's Jerry lay low?
Jerry, she's just not your type of girl.
No, I get it. I'm good for a couple beers and a few laughs, and then when it really counts, it's hide the dum-dum.
He storms out, or at least as close to storming as laid-back Jerry ever gets. They screwed this one up good. They know they really hurt him, so they're more or less obligated by guilt to ask him to be Samantha's date for the evening.
Well, in that case, I'll do you that honor.
Well, I feel better about that.
Yeah, I'm glad we made up, huh?
Yeah. He looks so happy.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
let's try to remember him that way.
Intellectual conversation isn't in Jerry's wheelhouse, and that's okay. All he needs to do is start talking music, the thing he knows. Samantha just might enjoy an evening with a guy who's down to earth, says what's on his mind, and is generally a regular dude. Frankly, unless you're out to get something from someone, high society is dull. When I was studying music at Delta College in Stockton, my music mentor, Kyung-Soo Won, was also the conductor of the Stockton Symphony. As his students, we worked as ushers in exchange for getting in free. Mr. Won was incredible. He wouldn't settle for anything less than excellence, both from us and from the symphony. While we were in class working on projects, he'd have the next concert scores in front of him, poring over them note by note to make sure everything was just perfect. Oh yes, he conducted everything from memory. He didn't use a score when he was on stage. I've never seen another conductor do that. He would put his heart and soul into producing the best music he could. And then the people would start coming in, all dressed in their tuxedos and shimmering dresses and furs and all the rest, for an evening at the symphony. They knew as much about music as they knew about what brand of green cheese the moon was made of. These people were there to be seen because this is what sophisticated people do. Phony as a $9 bill, as my dad used to say. And if you tried to discuss the music with one of them, they would stare at you as if you were a lower form of life. This wasn't about music, this was about status. And frankly, those of us who knew what Mr. Won put into his concerts often wanted to backhand a couple of them. Their attitude was, in a word, insulting. We know Sally well enough by now to know that her friend isn't likely to be one of those. So I repeat, she just might enjoy an evening with someone who's real. Let's meet her.
My plane leaves 3 something or other, and I've still got to pack.
You want me to send these on to the airport for you, Samantha?
Oh, I really hate hand luggage, all that searching, you know. I feel like I'm going to get arrested for illegal cosmetics or something. Yes, you do have some very suspicious-looking eyeshadow.
I'm going to be in San Francisco Friday. You want me to bring them with me?
You won't mind?
No.
Oh.
I like being searched.
I'm gonna digress, again, for just a moment to tell you about something called TSA PreCheck. If you're an American and you fly a lot, or you fly at all, it's worth doing. Pay a small fee, get a background check, and from then on, you get to bypass all the long lines of people taking their shoes off, dragging their laptops out, and all the rest. You get to zip through with a minimum of fuss. Okay, I'm telling tales on myself, but I do ordinarily have to get patted down, and the reason is because technology is dumb. I have a knee replacement, so naturally if I go through the regular scanner, it lights up like I just won on Wheel of Fortune. I go to the full body scanner where they have you stand with your arms like this, and I get flagged every time. The reason? I wear Depends. The scanner picks it up as a foreign object near my hoo-ha, and they have to check me over. It's not a big deal, and if you don't have any issues with your body peeing without your permission, you can breeze right on through. But even in my case, it takes a few seconds, and I still avoid all the hassle. It's worth it. Naturally, TSA didn't exist in 1974, and the big concern at that time wasn't terrorism, it was hijacking. In the 60s and early 70s, there was a rash of planes being hijacked and told to fly to Cuba. That led to heightened airport security, though it was nothing like it is today. At that time, the security was done in ways that Annie likes.
Sammy, aren't you excited about the opening of your new gallery? Well, after the second one, it sort of loses its thrill. But why don't you stop by and have some champagne and wish me luck?
Love to. Sure, that's the least we can do for the new competitor.
Wish me luck. No, see that your opening is as expensive as possible. Sally, it's delightful to see you again. Delightful seeing you, Sammy.
She doesn't talk like an upper crust snob. She talks like a local girl who made it big. That shouldn't be much of a stretch for Joan Van Ark, because in many ways that's what she is. Straight out of high school, she went to the Yale School of Drama on a full-ride scholarship. If that doesn't impress you, I don't know what will. She spent several years doing stage work and touring with several groups. Today, she's best known as Val Ewing on Dallas and later on Knots Landing. At 81, she's still going strong and still working. In 1966, she married TV newsman John Marshall, and they're still together. If you're counting on your fingers or used a calculator, you know that's 64 years on their way to forever. My wife and I just celebrated 44 years, so we have a bit of catching up to do. Speaking of having to play catch-up...
But I better go. You know me, I've been 45 minutes late all my life.
Have a good trip. It was great seeing you.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, we'll see you on Friday, huh? Uh-huh. All I've got is a meeting for the Council of the Performing Arts and a short talk at the Women's League, and the rest of Friday's clear.
Ah, it's practically a day off, huh?
Oh. About 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock our time, 8:45 your time.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
I know it's supposed to be an endearing quirk, but people who are always late bug me. How about you?
Oh, excuse me.
Honey, I'd excuse you almost anything.
May I?
You just gonna sail out of my life like this?
Like ships that pass on the sidewalk.
Societally speaking, more like a cruise ship meeting a tugboat. But that's the great thing about Jerry. He doesn't care about your intellect, sophistication, or any of that highbrow stuff. He just wants to screw.
Hi.
Hey, Jer, what's happening?
Oh, love is happening. Angels are singing. Heaven was just in your store.
You met Samantha?
You mean that's my date?
Well, she's just another woman who's intelligent and beautiful and fabulously wealthy, if that sort of thing impresses you.
What do you talk to chicks like that about?
Anything. Art, politics, literature.
I think I flunked those.
To be honest, so did I. In fact, I failed high school altogether. I'm not a high school graduate. Seriously, my teenage life reads like a bad comedy novel. At 15, I had a bike accident and broke my left hand. At 16, I caught the measles and spent my birthday in quarantine. At 17, I got tired of having throat infections all the time and got my tonsils out. I got hooked on the drugs they gave me and spent the next year or so in a haze. I finished my high school years a full year's worth of classes short of the graduation requirements. I was sick of that place anyway, so I enlisted in the Army. 2 weeks before I shipped out, I came down with the mumps. I was sick almost the whole time I was in the Army, all 6 weeks. I came home and went back to my old high school. They laughed me out of the building and told me to go get a GED. So I did. I went on to get 2 degrees in the Bible as well as the equivalent of a degree in music. Not bad for a high school dropout. And through all that time, I never once gave 2 nickels about what other people thought of me. Jerry can't do that. He's starting to realize that he's going to be so far over his head he'll drown in the first 5 minutes.
Sally, do you mind if I go over and see Sam's gallery? I'm dying to take a look at it.
Oh, not at all. I'll hold down the fort.
Hey, maybe I should keep you company.
Jerry, she's not going to be there.
That's all right. I think I should brush up on my art.
When was the last time you went to a gallery?
The 4th grade. I had to hold Harriet Fuller's hand, and we went by the statue of a guy all naked, and she cried.
Was she crying because of the statue or because she was afraid you looked like that?
I hope you're not going to cry.
I'm not even going to hold your hand.
Or anything else. Jerry is blown away. Samantha even designed the frames for the paintings. Jerry selects a picture and says, "Tell me about this one."
This is an impressionist painting. It's a Renoir. You know, in the beginning, the word impressionist was an insult from the critics.
Yeah?
They said, these are just quick impressions. These aren't really finished paintings.
They always criticized the new stuff. It was the same with bebop.
Right.
And there is your conversation, Jerry. Points of contact between what she knows, visual art, and what you know, music. There's a line in the song La Vie Bohème from Rent that always touches me. Mark talks about the need to express, to communicate. Painting and music are both ways of doing that. Jerry doesn't need to be an armchair art critic. In fact, he doesn't need to know anything about the painting world, but he and Samantha can meet in the land of expression, of trying to say something. I can relate. I'm a musician. My wife loves music, but it's not her mode of expression. She paints, and she's very good. If you're a super Adomaniac patron, you probably know that, because one of the perks of joining us at that level is you get one of her paintings. I went to several painting classes with her, and let me tell you, I suck. I'm terrible at it. Even when I try to follow the directions perfectly, my paintings look like they belong on the refrigerator, not in a gallery. I simply cannot reproduce what I see. What I hear is another matter. This is where Jerry and Samantha are, but Jerry is really feeling inferior right now.
My brother went to an art gallery.
And he asked for a list of books.
Books. The only book he's read in the last 10 years was The Sensuous Woman.
I thought he wrote that one.
I read that book when it came out in 1969. I was all excited to learn from it. One of the biggest wastes of time I ever did. Some years later, I was working in a book warehouse, and out of pure curiosity, I read one called How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Leave Her Begging for More. Now, aside from the self-contradictory title, this book was just ridiculous. This woman simply described what she liked as if all women were identical. Gentlemen, don't go reading books and all that stuff to try and know how to relate to a lady. I'm going to give you the secret to all of it right now. Come a little closer. Not everyone should have this knowledge because not everybody can handle it. But I know you can, so here you are. Are you ready? Okay, here it goes. Listen to her. I'm being a little silly, of course, but honestly, it really is that easy. Shut your mouth and open your ears. But Jerry really wants to be able to talk to Samantha about something that she's into, so he's cramming like it's finals week. He's reading books that he knows Samantha is interested in. He's going to Sally's Tai Chi class because Samantha is into it. He's going all out to be able to relate to this woman. John and Sally still aren't so sure.
She's not like all your other girls.
Well, I hope so.
Why? I thought you were having a good time.
Well, usually the end of most evenings is real good, but the beginnings and the middles are boring.
You're getting tired of all that?
Well, for once in my life, I'd like to be able to just talk to a lady and be happy to just leave her at her doorstep.
With Samantha's appearance, even if things don't work out with her, he's starting to realize that he's been fishing in a very shallow pond. He wants to move away from that and into a more interesting crowd. He's finally starting to understand that life doesn't revolve around his pee-pee.
Well, sounds like it's going to be an interesting evening. Lorraine Hildebrandt?
Yeah, Lorraine Hildebrandt. I hadn't thought about her since...
Just now.
Well, look at that. We found a way to shoehorn her ESP into it. You know, the thing that's supposed to be the show's big hook.
Yeah, right. I wonder why Oh, no.
She was a sophisticated girl that Jerry fell in love with in high school, and he tried to impress her, and it didn't work out.
Right.
6-month depression?
He didn't do anything but sit in a chair and play scales on his trumpet.
It's good for the lip.
Not good for a brother who had to listen to him.
That's why Doors have this little feature called closing. Trust me, scales are boring for everybody, especially the person practicing them. But all music is made up of scales and arpeggios, so learning them and getting proficient at them is the price of admission, whether your instrument is a horn, a keyboard, or your vocal cords. I have a feeling it would have been a lot worse for John if Jerry had been trying to sing. At least he's really good on the trumpet.
Hi, dear.
Hi, honey. I thought I told you I was going to be studying tonight.
Well, I was just bringing back your laundry and a pizza. I thought maybe we could study together.
Amber, all that's in the past. I've developed an intellectual bent.
We can work it out.
The joys of the flesh are fleeting, but the pleasures of knowledge are eternal.
Who said that?
I think it was Charlie Barnett.
The actor or the raunchy comedian who was only just coming on the scene in 1974. He won't tell us, and it doesn't matter. What does matter is Amber wants to fool around and Jerry doesn't. He seems to think being intellectual and being sensual are mutually exclusive. He's wrong.
Well, in a few minutes it'll be showtime. I really can't wait to see how Jerry does.
I'm telling you, he's awfully confident.
You know, maybe we've underestimated him.
Well, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. There he is. Hi,
Good
Jerry.
evening, friendly sibling, and my dear little sibling-in-law.
He even rented a suit and tie. I assume they're rented. I can't picture Jerry owning a complete suit any more than I can picture me owning one. I own one tie. It has my main man Marvin the Martian on it, and I've probably worn it twice in the last 10 years. And to you guys who regularly wear them, let me ask you one question. What purpose does it serve? What's it useful for? While you ponder that, Jerry is reading an article about Samantha in the newspaper.
David Susskind says the most erudite, perspicacious, engaging conversationalist I've encountered. What's that mean?
He liked her.
Incredibly knowledgeable in esoteric areas with multitudinous interests.
He really liked her.
He did like her, didn't he? To spend an evening with Ms. Carrington is an engrossing intellectual challenge. Oh.
There, you see, Jared? Now, that's nothing special, is it?
It just means that she can talk about anything.
Yeah, but I can't. It's all going now. It's not going to work.
David Susskind had been a talk show host since the 50s, but at this time he spent his time behind the camera as a producer. I'm not sure why that's the name they decided to drop here, but when he can't pronounce half the words in the article, Jerry knows he's in trouble. Samantha just arrived exactly 45 minutes late. Hey, that's the thing about getting a reputation. You have to live up to it. That's why my dad told me never to get a reputation as a super hard worker, because then you have to keep being one. Introductions all around except for Jerry, who's pretty well catatonic.
Hello, Jerry.
Jerry's a musician. He's In show business where the curtain's going up?
Oh, I'm charmed. I'm delighted to meet you again.
Delighted to meet you again.
To everyone's surprise, they're hitting it off great.
Can I get anybody a drink? Samantha?
I'd like a vodka Gibson.
Jerry?
I'll take a perfect Rob Roy. They're as hard not to like as a Cézanne painting.
Well, in that case, I'd like a Rob Roy, too.
Sal?
I'll have a tranquilizer on the rocks.
What do you mean? He's off to a great start.
So was Nixon. You know how to make a Rob Roy?
I'm about to learn.
I'm a margarita man myself, and I have a strict limit of 2. In between when I bombed out of the Army and when I started college, I got into drinking. My nephew and I would get someone to buy us a quart of vodka, we'd get some orange juice, go off somewhere and drink the whole bottle, and then go play pinball machines. Thing is, I was born with Superman's liver. I could put away twice as much as he could, and I'd have to pretend to be drunk. I have literally never been drunk in my life. But I discovered that if I picked up a bottle, I wouldn't put it down until I saw the bottom. One day I looked at myself and I said, you can keep doing this, or you can have a life. I chose to have a life and was dry for 25 years. When I started allowing myself to drink alcohol again, I set down rigid rules. Beyond this, I will not go. Whatever my drink of choice is, there's an impenetrable barrier there, and that's where I stop. I know not everybody can do that, and I respect their need to swear off it. When my wife and I got married in 1980, I worked at a truck stop with no less than 3 gentlemen who had to stay away from alcohol. Each of them had been to the bottom and clawed their way back up. They all still have my undying respect. And I still don't know what a Rob Roy is.
So much to learn, so little time to learn it in. Or as the Chinese say, ting yo how.
Step back and repulse the monkey. You know Tai Chi.
That's one of my peripheral interests.
Peripheral enough that he's been to exactly 1 class. But Jerry is holding his own, and he and Samantha have a definite attraction.
Wasn't it Emile Zola, 1840 to 1902, who claimed that Flaubert created the formula for the modern novel single-handed and not Shakespeare?
Yes, of course that's true. But the question whether Shakespeare really wrote Shakespeare remains unsatisfied to many.
I'm satisfied.
No, really, Jerry, what do you think?
Jerry, you probably think that Francis Bacon wrote a lot of Shakespeare.
Or as some claim, it could have been Christopher Marlowe.
Personally, I think it was Mickey Spillane.
Jerry, you're marvelous.
Like that. It's going well enough that John and Sally are willing to bail him out now and then. And Samantha doesn't seem to notice. I find that interesting. She needs to go, and Jerry says, don't even say the word cab. I'll drive you to your hotel.
We really have to hand it to him. He did exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah?
Well, that's that.
Yeah. You know, I don't know why I suggested we clean the place up now.
What?
Well, it always makes you so tired just before we go to bed.
Nothing comes easy in this life, John.
I sort of hoped Jerry wouldn't do that anymore.
One improvement at a time.
He can't help himself. He has to tell them what happened.
When we got to the hotel, Samantha insisted that I have a nightcap in her suite.
Well, that's only fair.
And we were there about a minute and a half, and she made a request.
Which was?
To stop talking and acting so charming and witty.
Why was that?
So she could assault me.
What?
Yeah, your high-class friend from Nob Hill wasn't impressed by my knowledge. She wanted my body.
He has to tell them their high-class friend is a floozy.
I was just a sex object. I never been so humiliated in all my life.
Rightly so.
Jer,
Yeah?
I hope you resisted.
Well, I did.
Yeah, you did resist, didn't you?
Have you met Jerry?
Well, I had a lot to drink.
That's a new one.
And in my sorrow, how was I supposed to know what I was doing?
Jer,
Yeah?
Try not to hate yourself in the morning.
I'll try, but it won't be easy.
He's telling you that, humiliated or not, he knows what to do with a floozy. In the epilogue, it's confusion time, at least for me.
Okay, all the picnic stuff is in the car. You ready?
Ready? And it's done.
Is it another masterpiece?
I don't know.
Oh, Annie, it's really, really terrific.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And that is beautiful.
How about you?
How about me?
How about your opinion of my new painting?
Well, interesting.
As Annie points out, that could mean anything. It's what you say when your mother-in-law is wearing a dress that looks like a hot air balloon and she asks what you think of it. Annie wants an honest opinion.
All right, I'll be rigorously honest. I think you went too far with the burnt sienna, and this umber ruins the eye flow. I think Samantha's going to be real disappointed.
I had to ask.
But listen, now that I'm into my art culture bag, why don't the two of us mix up some paint sometime?
After that critique?
Well, what if I said this was the most beautiful picture known to mankind?
That's another story.
Here's where I get confused. Since when is Annie interested in Jerry? Up until now, they've acted more like relatives than potential partners. I should think it'd feel like dating your brother.
Boy, there goes a chick who's well stacked with books.
Hi, Jer. It's me.
You mean I. It is I.
It is I that is me. Amber.
And my arms are really tired. Would you please take these things?
Amber, what happened?
Well, what happened is, if Jerry wants the finer things in life, then I want Jerry to have the finer things in life.
Amber, honey, there's an ancient bit of knowledge here. It's been handed down through the ages. I think it originally originated in Italia, which has recently been known as Italy.
Only in America. Over there, they still call it Italia.
What is it?
It's shoemaker, stick to your last.
You mean I have to learn a trade?
Yes, I hear there's good money in motorcycle repair. Amber is one of those characters that only Terry Garr could play convincingly. That is a compliment, by the way.
Looks like Jerry's back to his same old self.
Yeah, no, he's not quite his same old self. The old Jerry would have had a date.
Well?
The new Jerry's got two.
This is gonna be a real good picnic.
Since Amber is there, I hope Annie is just playing around. This show has lost its way. Sally's ESP came up once and it had nothing to do with the story. This is a generic husband and wife sitcom. Ratings were sagging, and anybody who watched the show regularly could have told them why. 5 seasons of the Dick Van Dyke Show in the early 60s set the bar, and almost no other sitcom reached it. This one started out with a really good new thing: she knows all his thoughts. And before the 10th episode, we stopped caring because it stopped being the focus. Even the eternally adorable Sally Field couldn't bring the show back from such a wilderness. It was becoming clear to viewers that we had reached the point where it felt like a bait and switch. You come for ESP stories, but you get Jerry trying to be an intellectual. I guess that's the thing about reading minds. When there's nothing to read, what do? Sure who to quit whistling. Societally speaking, more was she crying because super atomaniac patron? There's your point of but she knows that try to follow the good God. With Samantha, any more than I can tell you, any more than I can screw up that line. Peripheral. She's sitting there staring at her food bowl telling me it's lunchtime.